is with us for the next 52 minutes, roughly. We'll be opening the phones up for others that are patiently holding. We will surely have to do a third interview with him to fully flesh all of this out. Economist George Humphrey joining us coming up in the third hour. In studio right now is John Taylor Gatto, and we have links to him up on Infowars.com. His book that took him more than a decade to write, and by the way, is free on his website, JohnTaylorGatto.com. Gatto spelled G-A-T-T-O. Let's just, in like 5 minutes, sir, and again, I'm very honored to have you back on with us, recap how you woke up, who you are, the info you discovered, which, by the way, is extremely accurate, folks. My own research, I ran into all the same stuff. He just knows even more. This is his area of expertise. So I want to tell you, this is documented. And then recap where all this started, where these ideas came from, recap what you covered last week, and then let's get into from 1900 on and the export of this stuff here and what it's done to people and how they've scientifically destroyed people's minds, taught them how to not be able to think.
Well, Alex, it's a pleasure to be back with you, and let me see if I can be succinct. My wife says that it's impossible, but let me try.
Did you get a big response last week coming on?
I did. I got quite a big response, and I would like to thank your listeners, but to tell them that the book is free on my website, but you'd have to read it on my website or download it, or you can buy it on the website, whichever. But it's up there. My website got several hundred calls to send them the book, and that we don't do, but we do make it available to read on the website, or you can purchase it.
No good deed goes unpunished. Send me it free. No, I understand. So go ahead and break down again for people that just joined us who you are, recap the history, and then let's go into the last 100 years and the future.
Sure. I was a New York City public school teacher for 30 years. And during that time, I became the New York State Teacher of the Year twice, named by different organizations, and the New York City Teacher of the Year 3 times, named by different organizations. Over that period of time, as most people who teach or who parent and send their kids to public school, I kept running into immense contradictions and aspects of schooling that worked against the development of both mind and character. But when you're totally involved from morning to night in this, it becomes an immense nuisance, and you blame, this guy or that guy, that if we could just get rid of this stupid school administration and so on. Toward the end of my career, however, as I began to read into the history of schooling, and I don't mean in the standard histories because they won't take you where you need to go, I came to see that institutional schooling, which must never be mistaken for the perfectly benign term education, it's not intended to be an education, quite the reverse. Anyway, I came to see that institutional schooling had some very specific functions, none of which were discussed, and that it got rid of people who didn't play ball. Now, you might say, well, you just said that they actually aren't aware of what they're doing. That's correct. But if being unaware and doing your job as a daily school teacher or as a school principal or as a school superintendent, you invoke principle or morality, and in doing so you threaten to untrack this train, you're gotten rid of. It's just that simple. This is a utopian institution. If we were speaking theologically, I'd say it's an evil institution, but let me keep it on the philosophical grounds. This is a utopian institution meant to deliver the management of small societies and a global society into the right hands and to keep it there and to protect it against argument. Now, your listeners in particular, Alex, would be aware that this is wildly, radically unconstitutional, where the idea is to deliver finally the direction of the society into the hands of the people, by the people, and for the people. This was our wonderfully novel gift to the planet, and out of it we became very, very prosperous, very, very powerful, and I would say, as human life can be reckoned, very happy.
And by the way, going back over 150 years ago, public books were written. Top educators came right out and said the public's too smart. The official banking associations said we've got to finance education. Too many people can read. John Dewey said that it was a crime to teach children how to read, that everything had to be socialized education on how to be good little cogs. I mean, this is why everybody is so dumbed down and unable to understand the prison they're in. So just hit the key points of how they set it up, where it came from, recap last week, and then let's get into what they did here in the U.S.
Well, obviously, to convert a libertarian nation where the American dream was to write your own script, have your own little business, in order to do that, you had to either run into a wall of deadly opposition, or you had to cajole the public into surrendering their children into a new type of institutional schooling that would take them far and fast and be free. Of course, once the children are surrendered, the transition doesn't take place immediately, Alex. In the first generation, what you've done is weaken these libertarian impulses. In the second generation, you severely weakened them. And by our day, which is now the fourth or fifth generation, they don't even exist except as radical ideas that we have to stay away from. Why should a parent have any say at all in how their child is reared? It's true they've risked their life and their pocketbook having that child, but at that point, the child becomes the property of the political state and the people who manage the political state, who in our epoch, Alex, are global corporations. And it was the early global corporations, in particular the Carnegie Group of corporations, the Rockefeller Group of corporations, which of course included Standard Oil, and I would say another dozen or 24 extremely wealthy people who thought globally, like Vincent Astor.
And by the way, just type into Google John Dewey quotes or John Dewey New World Order. You'll find university websites to the American Education Fellowship, formerly the Progressive Education Association, organized by John Dewey. He called for, quote, establishment of a genuine world order, an order where national sovereignty is subordinate to world authority. And then there's more quotes about how we should teach people not to be able to read. And then this guy's praised and worshipped, just like Margaret Sanger, the eugenicist.
Yes.
I mean, the public, because last time we covered the early stuff in the Prussians, where it came from, then how it metastasized. I want to get into these guys, but please continue.